In August 1980, this small island of Benbecula became famous to the world's media. But why? Well, it wasn't for these beautiful beaches and the incredible scenery. It was because an 8-foot-tall bear called Hercules was on the loose. But let's go back to the beginning and the quiet town of Auchterarder, where I'm meeting Andy and Maggie Robin.
We were looking out the window at the battlefield as Sheriff Muir, and Andy said, "What would you say if I wanted a baby bear?" He'd wrestled a bear when he was doing a Highland Games show called The Wonderful World of Sport. He was totally smitten.
You know, when I was in America, I wrestled bears there, and this is where I got the idea from when I came home. I said if I get a suitable place to keep one, I was going to have one.
Now, what made you want to wrestle a bear?
I've never been beaten 7 years. I'm still British heavyweight champion. It's nearly impossible to get anybody to have a good bout. So what I'm going to do now is I'm training this bear called Hercules. I'm going to have a bout with him to prove to the Scottish people that I can wrestle anybody.
Hercules was the beloved bear of professional wrestler Andy Robin, who purchased him from the Highland Wildlife Park in the 1970s for £50. What age was he when you got him then?
9 months.
9 months old.
That's right. When you started wrestling him,
Uh-huh.
you loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because bears are wrestling.
You loved it with me. Come on. It was good. You should go out up the pub.
And Hercules won every time, by the way.
Up, this is Hercules getting taught to go into the wrestling ring. All the way he can get us up a ladder. A good boy. Behave now. But it could have all went wrong if he'd had any bad in him.
He had no bad.
No bad.
None.
A big baby.
When he announced that he was going to adopt a bear cub, the wrestling community kind of laughed at him and thought that this was the most ridiculous notion that they'd ever heard.
Come on.
Nobody thought it was going to work. But it was the perseverance and the sheer will to prove everyone wrong that made Andy Robin have that desire just to make something out of nothing. It was an idea that everyone thought ridiculous.
Thanks to successful appearances on the UK wrestling circuit, Hercules landed a number of small acting roles. But his journey to superstardom was almost cut short. In August 1980, Hercules was booked to film a TV advert right here in Benbecula when suddenly he disappeared. It was here at Peter's Port where Hercules went missing after going for a swim with Andy. Hundreds of volunteers, the police and even the army searched all over the Hebrides looking for Hercules.
All day long, unarmed troops scoured the island, expecting at any moment that Hercules, the gentle but by now presumably hungry bear, would pop up out of the heather looking for his lunch.
Now I'm popping in to meet one of those volunteers, Davy, a local seaweed fisherman who joined the search for Hercules. So Davy, tell me about when Hercules was missing right here in Benbecula.
Oh, well, it was international news, like, you know. He must have been the first grizzly bear to arrive in Benbecula.
Once he obviously went missing, what was the atmosphere like on the island? I mean, was there fear? Was there people trying to go and find him? I mean, what was it like being here on
A whole
Benbecula?
lot of us went out, you know, everybody went out to try and find him. We had an idea what we were looking for, but where? That was another thing.
I mean, how could you not find him on an island? What made it so difficult to track him down?
Because the bear was mobile. He could swim like a speedboat. They've got huge paws, like, you know, they're the size of big shuffles, like, you know, they're just...
Hercules didn't stay in one place long, moving from island to island.
That's where he fooled us. We thought he was still on the island of Weir, but he didn't stay there. He was free, and he off and swam to another island, and then to another island, and he was just enjoying himself.
Was it quite scary having a bear loose here on the island?
Oh, he was well trained, but then we didn't know how well trained he was.
After 3 days, with little hope of ever finding him, the rescue attempt was called off. But his owners, Andy and Maggie Robin, just wouldn't give up.
That was just like your heart was sank. And when we were sleeping in the coach up there, he cried silently to himself on that side, and I cried silently because you tried not to make it more by, you know, you sink into this wee shell when I think something goes really wrong.
He stayed away for, was it 8 days?
3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks.
Eventually, Hercules was spotted and he was shot with a tranquilizer dart, put in a cargo net and helicoptered to safety. Andy and Maggie Robin were overcome with joy.
Hercules brings a lot of pleasure to a lot of people.
He was nearly starved to death. I don't think he would have lasted much longer.
when you're ill.
And he was like an old empty fur coat.
Thankfully, Hercules' misadventure was over and the Robin family were glad to be home.
To Andy and Maggie, Hercules was very much a son. He was part of their family unit.
Here, you were good today, Hercules. We'll kiss you, Daddy.
Hercules continued to live happily at home with Andy and Maggie, a truly unique situation, irreplicable for you and me.
Can you imagine a bear like this living with people? I mean, it's quite a one in a million.
Absolutely, that's a really good way to describe it. Yeah, definitely one in a million. Very unique experience. I don't think it's something I would recommend. They're incredibly powerful animals. They're really wild, you know, they would never be domesticated or anything. So I can't imagine. He must have had his hands full with it, you know, with Hercules, but he definitely could handle him, I think, which was something that he really needed to be able to do.
You wouldn't recommend anybody getting their own bear cub?
No, I don't think pet bears are something to be recommended.
When you get to see these guys up close, you realise how majestic they really are. To think that a bear of this size was living with Andy and Maggie for all these years is just incredible. What an amazing, amazing story.
Sadly, all good stories must come to an end. So I'm back in North Uist to visit a very special place.
This gentle giant of a bear which caused such hysteria here on these islands will always be remembered fondly. The majestic Hercules now stands sentry, watching over his beloved islands. This statue serves as a reminder that although Hercules may be gone, his remarkable story lives on. Maggie, this is incredible. Is this a real replica of the size of
It is, yep. This is sculpted by a fellow from the Royal Academy of Art in London. And this scar here, that was his mum gave him that when he was a baby cub. And that grew as he grew, it never ever went. Herc's just so present in that. It's just fabulous.
It's like having a real Hercules there.
Oh, just, you couldn't get anything better than that as a remembrance of him. It's just him.
Andy Robin is perhaps the most famous Scot wrestler of all time, but by adopting Hercules, he became the stuff of legend.
He's got such a following still, it's actually unbelievable. But I think at the end of the day, everybody loves a good fairy story. And I think with Herc, it was almost like a fairy story.
how do you lose an 8-foot grizzly bear?
It's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely remarkable story.
Sadly, that's all we've got time for in this episode.
Yep, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.